All right, here we are. Figured bass of the day, du jour, number 2. So we look at our key signature of 3 flats, and we realize that could be either E flat major or C minor. We look here, the first chord is C, the last chord is C. So we can, I think, hazard a guess, not even a guess, that this is C minor. Right now, we are only using root position triads, so whatever note this is of the scale, that's the chord. So this is the first note of the scale, this is the 1 chord. And of course, you know in a minor key, the 1 chord is minor. This is the 4th note of the scale. In a minor key, the 4 chord is minor. I'm going to take this G right here, I'm going to write it down here. So there's a G and there's a natural under it. Okay, so if we were to stack up the notes in the key, that would be a G minor chord, and we call that 5. But a natural by itself means that that applies to the 3rd of the chord. So here, G, B flat, D becomes G, B natural, D. And of course, we can do this because of harmonic minor. That gives us the leading tone. All right, so this then is not the minor 5, but the major 5. I don't know why I'm writing that right there. Okay, so this is 5. We'll come back to that. If you look over here, I included this one as well. Here it's a natural. Here it's a sharp. Sharp does not mean that you stick a sharp in front of it. So you wouldn't do this and write a sharp. Okay. What it means is you raise the 3rd a half step. The 3rd diatonically is B flat. So to sharp the 3rd is to raise the 3rd a half step from B flat to B natural. So this natural sign and this sharp sign in this key mean the same thing. They both apply to the 3rd. This is telling you to take the flat off the 3rd. This is telling you to raise the 3rd a half step, which in this case is taking the flat off the 3rd. All right, so this chord, this is the 6th note of the scale. 6th chord is major. We already figured out the 4 chord is minor, and the 1 chord is minor. So our progression: 1, 4, major 5, major 6, minor 4, major 5, 1. Now we're going to need to have the smoothest possible voice leading, and I'd like you to use this chord to begin. Okay, so the 1 chord is C, E flat, G. We're going to F, A flat, C. We're going to need 2 Fs, an A flat, and a C. I see a common tone right there, an A flat and an F here. These are stepwise motions. Okay, very smooth connection. Now we're going to get this major 5 chord. Again, remember, the bass is moving by step. We do not want to do this. That's parallel fifths and parallel octaves. When the bass moves by step, the upper voices must move contrary motion to the bass. Otherwise, we get parallel fifths and octaves. And of course, we need the B natural here because it asks for it down here. So here we went up a step. Now we go up another step. Okay, but this one has a wrinkle to it. Okay, so A flat, C, E flat. Generally, when the bass moves by step, the upper voices move contrary motion. That way you avoid parallel fifths and parallel octaves. The only exception to this, the only common exception, is when you go from 5 to 6, because there's a leading tone right here. We do want to resolve the leading tone up. Okay? So if we do that, this chord has an atypical doubling. It has 2/3, a root, and a fifth, rather than 2 roots, a third, and a fifth. The third is doubled. We really have to do that in minor, because if this were to follow the principle of going contrary motion to the bass, it would go to A flat, and B natural to A flat would be a melodic augmented second. So right here, this alto line, as I have it correctly written, okay, if you went contrary motion to the bass to get the proper doubling, it would go C to that note, and that would be a melodic augmented second, which is something you need to avoid because it is difficult to sing. Okay, so now the 6th chord has an atypical doubling, so we just have to be careful moving into the next chord, because we tend to think of complete chords where the root is doubled going to another chord where the root is doubled. Here's our 4 chord. We're going to need F, A, C flat, F, A flat, and C. So I'm gonna do the A flat up here and C here. This is gonna go to F. Okay, that's a little messy. There are 2 C's here. One of them will tie over to C. One of them will leap down to pick up the A flat in the chord. In this case, I decided to have the tenor sustain on the C, just so I have more room to work between tenor and bass here. Okay? Because I know this is going to go up a step, therefore upper voices must move contrary motion to the bass. We get that chord, and right here, this sharp means the third above the bass is raised a half step from the key signature. That gives us the major 5 chord. Now we're going to resolve into 1, C, E flat, G, keep our common tone, move 2 pitches by step, and we have this lovely progression. Let's see, how about if I play it on strings? Probably sound terrible. Wow, that sounds really terrible. Choir. Okay, that's not a very good sound. It actually made my cat come running and start meowing. So there you go. All right, so that's the answer. I will post this. Again, very crucial when the bass moves by step. Other upper voices move contrary motion. The only exception to that contrary motion is when 5 goes to 6. The leading tone resolves up, and that results in a third that's doubled. All right. Come back tomorrow for figured bass of the day number 3, and I will post this answer key. Thanks.